Okay, real,
I didn't do it.
shh, put the iPads away.
Come on, Cole. What is this glue that?
Okay, if you remember back in chapter 3, I think it was, or whatever, we had a part where you had a picture and you had to say what reason proved the lines were parallel. So you could have either said that corresponding angles are congruent. Remember doing that? You'd have a picture like this if it showed that equals that. Or you could say alternate interior angles are congruent, alternate exterior, you remember doing those? Today's stuff is the same type of stuff like that. We're not proving lines are parallel. These are ways to prove quadrilaterals are parallelograms. Instead of writing the word parallelogram all the time, you can just put a little parallelogram. Okay? So you don't have to write it out. And then just apostrophe S. So, we already know from yesterday's lesson, what are 4 things that are true in a parallelogram?
4 sides.
Well, that's 4 sides, but
Consecutive thingy.
consecutive angles are supplementary.
And
Corresponding. Oh, yeah.
alternate interior angles are congruent.
No, the
No.
diagonal one.
Diagonals bisect each other. Opposite angles are
And
congruent.
the sides.
And opposite sides are parallel and opposite sides are congruent. So that's actually 5 reasons. So, if any one of those 5 is true, then it means it's a parallelogram. So, actually it's got to be both opposite sides are congruent. So if you saw a picture like this, that equals that, that equals that, it's got to be a parallelogram. Or both opposite sides are parallel. So remember, when it's parallel, they put those little triangles or filled in arrows to show that it's parallel. So if you saw this picture, the reason you would put is that. Both opposite angles are congruent. And it's got to be both opposite. If you saw a picture like this, where this equals that, that's not enough. It's got to be both sets. So this would have to equal that. Consecutive angles aren't congruent. Remember what they are?
Like.
Consecutive means in a row. They're not equal to each other. They're supplementary.
Yes.
So in a picture like this, they would actually put the measures right in there for you. They'd say this is 100, this is 80, and then they really only need to put another one, because if you know these 3, you could figure that out, and it would have to be 80. 5 is, what am I missing? Diagonals. Diagonals bisect each other. So that picture would look like this. That would equal that, and that would equal that. Now there is a 6th reason. It is right here. If just one pair, see here it had to be both opposite sides, but if one pair of opposite sides are both congruent and parallel, that means it's a parallelogram. So it would just be one pair of opposite sides are congruent and parallel. So it's just like those other things before where you had to show that lines are parallel. Here you got to show that a quadrilateral is a parallelogram, and if it is, you got to put the reason. If it's not, you just got to put no. So like in this one, they're asking, is this a parallelogram? Yes. So you got to put which reason it is.
Both sides are parallel.
Both opposite sides are congruent. They're equal to each other. 45, 45, 21, 21. So when they tell you to explain, that's what you do. You put which reason it is. Here in a coordinate one, we've got options to show that this is a parallelogram. I can't figure out any angles here, so I can't do anything with angles. The diagonals aren't drawn in there, so I wouldn't do that. So I'd either have to do 1, 2, or 6. Both opposite sides are congruent, both opposite sides are parallel, or one pair is congruent and parallel. You know, one of them is the easiest.
Top.
Sixth one. No.
The last one? No.
That's the second top one.
The top one? No.
Second.
The second one is.
So the slope.
The reason why is if you want to show that this equals this, you have to use what?
The slope.
Lines.
The slope. The.
If this length equals this length, you have to use what formula? Huh? Distance formula. You have to go x minus x squared plus y minus y squared and then square root it. Which is fine, that's no big deal. It's just it's easier to find, to show lines are parallel, what do you gotta find? I heard someone holler it. Slope. Slope's a lot easier to find than distance. Remember, slope is rise over run. So you could start at either point. To get from A to D, I'd have to go down 3, so negative 3. Oh, actually down 4. Down 4. And over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So what you got to do is check the other one. Does the other one go down 4 and over 6? Down 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I know these two are parallel. And then this one goes up 2 and over 2, up 2 and over 2. So they're parallel. So both opposite sides are parallel. Now, you could have did the distance formula, just to refresh your memory, because you may have to. Distance formula, remember, is x minus x squared. So 8 minus 9 is negative 1, but when you square it, you get positive 1. Remember, you'll always get positives. Plus y minus y, 5 minus 1 is 4 squared. 1 squared is 1, 4 squared is 16. So that's the square root of 17. So then you would just have to check, is this the same? 7 take away 1 is 6 squared. And, oops, I did a wrong number right there. It's not an 8, it's a 3. I gotta switch that one. So 7 take away 1 is 6 squared. Negative 1 take away 3 is negative 4. So when you square it, just get rid of the negative. So that's 24 plus 16, it's a square root of, or 36 plus 16 is 52. I had a wrong number here. I thought it was a 3, it's an 8. Or I thought it was an 8, it's a 3. 3 minus 9 is negative 6, so that's a 6 squared also. So you do get 52. So that's how you'd show they're the same lengths. So that's really all we're doing today. You're just going to have pictures. Let me put it up there.
No, what did you take me on? Okay. It's one of those Spoderman things. I was gonna send you a video on Christmas of one that was Christmas related.
This one says when you wake up in 2016 and you realize you're still on back. And then I was watching a high school's Everything Wrong. He talked about New Year's and was like, I am so New Year's wasted, I'm spelling all wrong, and he spells everything right. New Year, new swag. New Year, new me. No, you will still be a faggot.
So,
I'm sure if he's gonna confess this.
when you're doing these, it's just like we did proving triangles are congruent, proving lines are congruent. If it's yes, you gotta give the reason. If it's no, it's just no. So 2 through 4, decide whether you're given enough information, explain your reasoning. That just means give the reason why. That's what you do for all of these. So this one, you would put both opposite angles are congruent. Ever understand what you're doing?
No.
Don't you have to say yes?
Well, you can put yes if you want, but you could just put the reason, because if there's a reason, that means it's yes.